of her boots on the stoop before stepping into the heat, her face prickling with pain as the feeling returned to her nose. Brandy followed her inside, raising his snout to sniff appreciatively at all of the tantalizing smells clinging to the air. "That the same dog?" Dickie asked, shutting the door behind them. "Same dog." He let out a low whistle. "He's got to be, what, going on 17? 15. She clapped him on the shoulder. "But counting never was your strong suit, was it?" Dickie grinned. "Feels like longer since I've seen you. How's that even possible, though? I thought dogs that big, you know." He thumped his heart with a fist. "Gave out early." Lysa made herself smile back. "He's like me, hard to kill." She wrestled the burlap sack into a more comfortable position, adding a fresh smear to her already filthy shirt in the process. The bottom of the bag was blooming with fresh damp, which meant the bundle inside must have soaked through its wrappings again. She always forgot just how juicy these things were, even weeks after they were dead. "Can you go get Mary? I've got something needs doing, and soon." "Hey, turnip!" Dickie shouted, cupping his hands around his mouth so that his voice would carry over the clatter of pans and the shouts of the other cooks. "Go fetch Mary, will you? And hurry up!" One of the kitchen boys saluted him and dashed out. Dickie turned back to Lysa, nose wrinkling as he nodded at the sack in her arms. "What is that, anyway?" Lysa rocked on her heels. "Beets." "Bullshit! You think I don't know what beets smell like? Come on, tell me what you're up to. Or is Lysa Cadogan too good for her old pal Dickie now?" It took an effort to keep the stupid grin plastered on her face so that he wouldn't sense the hurt he had caused. She hadn't heard Cadogan in a long, long time, not since her brother had died and she'd started using Carnifex instead, which simply meant butcher in the old scholar's tongue. "You know William Clark, of Clark and Sons?" Dickie spat on the floor and ground the gob with the toe of his boot. "Yeah, I know him. What do you want with the bastard?" "He owes me money, and I'm going to make him pay." Her old friend eyed her, and she could see the assessment in his gaze. That skinny but vicious child he had known, almost feral in her rage, was now nearing 6 feet, her biceps straining the fabric of her shirt sleeves, her shoulders broad and thick with muscle. And then there was the double-barreled percussion pistol at her hip, and the enormous bull mastiff by her side. "I don't doubt that for a second," he said with a wink, though it quickly turned into a grimace when he noticed the rusty brown fluid now dripping from Lysa's burlap sack onto the floor. "And afterwards, maybe you could help me mop up." The doors from the main dining room hall burst open, and Mary came bustling in on the heels of the kitchen boy, her cheeks flushed and her starched cap askew, straw-coloured hair escaping in wild curls. Her face brightened when she saw Lysa. "Perfect timing! He's being especially awful today." She grabbed an empty serving cart and wheeled it over, dodging a cook wrestling with a live chicken and a boy struggling to carry a tray bigger than he was. "Dickie, love, hand me a tablecloth and a covered platter. Yes, that big one." Lysa nudged the bottom shelf of the cart with her boot. "Brandy, up!" The bull-mastiff obeyed, squeezing his bulk onto the metal shelf with a grunt and curling up with his head on his paws. "Good boy." Mary covered the cart with a white cloth, hiding the dog from view, and placed the platter in the centre. Meanwhile, Lysa set down her burlap sack with a wet squelch, lifting out the blood-stained bundle inside. The kitchen staff had gathered around in a loose ring by now, and watched her unwrap the severed head of the troll she had killed last week. Death had only made it slimier and more putrid. It smelled like rotting fish shoved into a barrel of brine and left out in the sun to bake for days. The treated cloth she had wound around it had been the only thing keeping the worst of the odour at bay, and the staff made a collective sound of disgust as the stench escaped. Dickie's face turned the...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.